like you mentioned, you're back home. How's it been right now?
It's a little strange. I haven't been home this time of year, and it's been a long time. So seeing my house in the springtime with flowers blooming and the grass so green, it's a little strange, but we've enjoyed being home, and getting to spend time with my kids is definitely something that I won't forget.
Well, so you are, spending a lot more time with your kids. How's that been?
It's been awesome. Obviously, no one wants to be in quarantine and everything that goes along with the virus. But if there's a silver lining to it, it's definitely been the time that we've been able to spend at home with our boys, and just getting to pour into them daily and spend the time that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to have with them. It's something I'll never get back.
They keeping you busy? Or are you able to get some workouts in here and there as well?
They keep me busy, but it is a priority to get a workout in every day and do something to try and stay as close to game shape as possible. But if I'm not working out, I'm throwing BP to them, or playing basketball with them, or whatever they choose to do that day.
Well, so we were looking at the schedule, and I mean, you guys would have been about a third way through the season by now. How weird is it that you're not, playing baseball?
It's strange. I mean, I would have never ever imagined that we'd be in the situation that we are right now. And it's really everyone wants to talk about when we're going to come back, and when are things going to be back to normal, and there's so many questions that surround that. It's hard to even give an answer. It's really, the best word is crazy. It's really a crazy time.
So have you kept in touch with a lot of your teammates or anything, and kind of supported each other through this a little bit?
Yeah, we talk quite a bit, and then there's actually guys that I train with that we all live in the same area, so we've been in contact, and try and work out with each other as much as possible. It's been tough just because facilities are closed and everything that has gone on with the virus, but no, we keep in touch and just check in on each other and see how everyone's doing.
Well, talk to me about last season. It is a all-star season for you. What exactly changed between the season before you were with Detroit and stuff, and then you go to the White Sox and you just take off?
Yeah. So the off season in between 18 and 19 was kind of an off season where I sought out to find myself and figure out who I wanted to be. I'd spent the last year, it was a down year for me in 2018, and I knew that I needed to make an adjustment. And the thing that I kept coming back to was stop trying to be like other people and be content with being James McCann. And that's what I did. I went back to a little bit more of who I was when I first got to the big leagues, instead of trying to be like other guys. And it just kind of took off from there. And that's what I've looked to build on from last year.
So what's it like now, before the season was canceled or postponed, whatever it is right now? You had an opportunity to meet back up with Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, no. When he signed with the White Sox, I was real happy, and we got to spend spring training together. So I got to catch him a couple times in spring training, and just being reunited with him, that was a lot of fun. I'd rather be on the same team with him than have to play against him. So that was pretty neat to get back together with him.
So what are you hearing right now about when the season could start back up, or when you guys might be able to go practice again?
It's everything is really speculation. I read the same stuff in the media that everyone else is reading, and honestly, this whole time it's been a roller coaster ride of emotions. Of we are going to play, we're not going to play, it's going to be soon, it's not going to be soon. It's like there's something new every day. So I'm just hopeful that it's sooner rather than later, and that we can do it safely, and we can be part of the solution to everything versus part of the problem.
Well, I want to ask you about some of the new rules that have been proposed. Do you like sunflower seeds? Because apparently those are canceled now. You can't have those. And no licking fingers, no the balls get thrown away after so many people have touched them. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I can deal with no sunflower seeds. I don't know how you're going to enforce not spitting, just because I think it's second nature for guys. No high five, stuff like that. I think is going to be really hard to enforce, just because I mean, it is second nature, and you don't even think about when you go to give someone a high five, or whatever it may be. So that's one of the things that has to be ironed out in the details, is just understanding what we can and can't do. And I've said it all along. I want to play baseball. Everyone wants to play baseball, but it has to be safe and it has to be right. So if we're taking away certain things that's not right, then we need to find a way to make sure we can still play the game of baseball that we've all grown to love. And I mean, sunflower seeds, I don't think that's essential to baseball, so I think we can do without those.
I was about to say, so when you want to celebrate something and you can't high five anyone, you can't hug anyone, have you guys thought about some other ideas of what you might do?
I haven't thought about any, but I'm sure there'll be some pretty good memes that come out of it.
What does this make you feel like baseball? I mean, like when something's taken away and something you played all your life, I mean, newfound respect for the game, anything like that when it comes to what you guys are missing right now?
Yeah. I think that, you kind of get a taste of what a lot of guys talk about when they retire. Just that time at home that you've never had before. And, you have you miss, there's something missing in your life. So missing the game. And I think that, it's really been hard, just because there's been so many questions, and we haven't, I think it'd be easier if there was like a target date, as far as like, we know we're going to be back at this time. So that's part of, I think, the frustration and the emotions that go into it, is just not knowing anything. But I definitely think that, you miss certain aspects of the game, and you try and, just fulfill your life in other ways.
You guys, pitchers, catchers, report early in spring training. How long is it going to take, do you think, being involved with that, to get everything back to where you guys can go out there and play?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think it's hard. It's a loaded question, in the sense that there's some guys that have had access to facilities, or access to the ability to train more so than other guys. So it's really hard for me to sit here and say that it should only take 3 weeks, or it only should take however long, for a pitcher who's had to throw in his backyard into a net for the last 2 months. That he needs to be ready to face live hitters and a game action. Ideally, I think we need enough time to play games to where pitchers can get ramped up. With that being said, I understand that the sooner we can get back to playing meaningful games, the better. But it is as big of a worry as the coronavirus is, and all the health protocol that's going to have to be followed for us to kind of take care of that aspect. I think just as big of a fear, if not bigger, is rushing back to playing, to where you end up with injuries that could potentially affect players, for 2021 and beyond.
How much of a concern is coronavirus for you? I know, I don't know how much you're around your sons who, had those health issues when they were born. I mean, does that concern you at all as a player going
Absolutely.
out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the part of the fear is just the unknown. I think that there's so many unknowns that surround it, and surround just everything that we've gone through as a nation and as a world, honestly. I think, from me personally, and maybe this is just, me trying to be, Superman dad, I think that I fear more for my kids than I do for myself. I fear in the sense that, I go to, I get something and then I pass it on to them. I would never be able to forgive myself. So I think that's a fear of a lot of guys, is just the unknown of how, you just don't know. You just don't know. And I think that's the biggest fear for me.
What do you do to stay in shape? Like, what are some of the drills? How do you keep your arm, who you playing catch with? What do you kind of do to stay in shape through this whole process, 9 weeks into this?
Yeah, so I'm actually really lucky here where we live. A former player, Ben Zobrist, has a barn. He has a cage in his barn. So I'm able to go there, by myself and hit off the machine and do some catching stuff off the machine. I've also been lucky enough, Logan Forsythe, former Razorback, lives here as well. So we've been able to get together and play catch and throw and hit together a little bit here and there. And it's just kind of, piece things together. I think we got kicked off of 3 or 4 high school fields before we finally found one that, they couldn't kick us off. And, it's just been it's been an interesting time of, hey, you need to stay game ready, but you don't have any facilities to do it at. So good luck.
What's it been like just seeing the former Razorbacks that are coming up, guys you played with in college, now more coming in and getting that professional experience on the major league level over the last several years?
It's been a lot of fun, seeing how the program has evolved since, while I was there and then leaving the program. And it's like every time I turn around, there's a new Razorback in the big leagues or entering pro ball with high prospect rankings. So I think it's just a kind of a testament to what Coach Van Horn has built there. That it's not just a successful college program, but it's a successful college program that produces major league talent.
See the facilities that they've got coming along. I mean, you were here, the stadium's great, but they got the indoor facility. They're building the new facility out in right field. I mean, how much would you love to go back and play college ball with some of the stuff they've got now?
I know it. I was lucky enough. I got to train a couple off seasons in the indoor with the full infield, but I never left the field as it was when I was there. I can't imagine. I would have slept in that indoor. I would have never left the facility. Just how, it's unbelievable. And I tell people this all the time. All you got to do is get a player on campus and they're going to commit. The facilities themselves just sell the program 100%.
Take me back to the All-Star game last year and just the experience of being able to be there with your family and take that in for the first time, as an MLB All-Star.
Yeah, it gives me chills just to talk about. To say it's a dream come true, it's hard to say that in the sense that just playing in the big leagues was a dream come true. Being an all-star is just on a different level, and getting a hit in the all-star game, making a diving catch, being a part of the winning team, like all that's memories I'll never forget. But I tell people the biggest thing for me that I'll take away from that was getting to sit on the field for the home run derby with my boys in my lap and seeing them high five, some of the greatest hitters in the game of right now, and be so into a home run derby. They're 2 years old and they were tracking home runs being hit and jumping up and down and clapping. And, those memories are the memories that I think I'll never forget. It's just being with my 2 boys on the field watching the home run derby.
What's a rivalry like for those of us that don't live in Chicago between the North Siders and the South Siders, and just kind of how that all goes down?
It's the best way to describe it would be like if LSU and Arkansas were on opposite end. One was in West Fayetteville and one was in East Fayetteville. Southsiders aren't fans of Cubs, and Cubs fans are not fans of the White Sox. And to say it's a nasty rivalry, it's a nasty rivalry. They don't like each other very much, but it's a lot of fun when those two teams, when we play each other, sold out games. It's loud. It's like a playoff atmosphere. It's a lot of fun.
Favorite moment in the big leagues, or biggest moment for you in the big leagues so far?
In the big leagues, playing the All-Star game was pretty special, especially just the route that I got there from having a down year with the Tigers and being released and then picked up by the White Sox and going from being released to being an All-Star 6 months later, that's a pretty special feeling. But I think the moment that I'll always remember is that first time I put on the big league uniform and walked down the tunnel. It was in Cleveland. So just walking onto the field in a big league uniform and feeling like I belonged. That's the moment that really sticks out to me.
You talked to Terry a little bit about what changed from one year to the next, but offensively, you know, I think everybody knew how good a defensive catcher you were. To have a career year offensively last year, just how big was that in your progression in your major league career to see the ability that you knew you probably had to go out there and make that a reality and have those numbers you had last year?
Yeah, it was big for me. Like I said, especially coming off the down year, the big thing I wanted to do was get back to who I was, and that was being content with whatever James McCann could be in. I was blessed to come up with hitters like Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez and JD Martinez and Ian Kinsler, but at times I got caught up in trying to do the things that they did, and so really the biggest thing, the biggest thing for me was being content with who James McCann was. And, if I would have told you before last year that I was going to put up, an all-star year and have the numbers that I had, I would have never been able to say that. But I didn't know, I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I just knew that I was going to be content doing it my way and not trying to get caught up in doing what other people were doing. And, it really was basically just kind of putting the blinders on and getting to work. And I found success with it. And, it definitely was a career year for me that I'll be able to look back on during my career and know that, hey, I proved that I could do it.
You got two ball players. Are they going to be like their dad?
If they want to be, I will support them 100%. But if there's one thing that I learned, it's not an easy path, going through the minor leagues and then the pressure and the grind of being in the major leagues. If they want to do it, I will 100% support them. As of right now, their favorite toys are balls and bats. So it's really easy to come home and do something. I continue to do something I love and watch the love that they have for it.
To see them where they started, where they are now, what's that like as a dad, is to just where they had to start when they were born to where they are now, just the growth that they've had?
Yeah, it changes your perspective of life. That's for sure. The things that were once important to me are no longer as important. Just having them and it's funny, like going 0 for 4 and coming home and seeing them. They have no idea I went 0 for 4. I had a bad game, whatever it is, and they love me the same. Whereas before I had kids, if I was 0 for 4, it was a bad night. If I was 2 for 4 is a good night. Well, every night's a good night when I get to come home to them, and just seeing them, from being born 10 weeks premature to seeing them run around and laugh and jump, and it's just words really don't describe how grateful I am.
How difficult is it not knowing what's next? Like you hope you go out and earn a new contract, but as a professional player, when you're released, you're trying to find a new spot, sign a 1-year contract, whatever it may be. How difficult is that as a professional, not knowing what's next if you don't go out there and perform?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult from the standpoint that you as an individual, as a competitor, you know what you're capable of, or what you feel like you can do. But it's difficult in today's world. Every time you open up social media, every time you turn on the TV, there's someone talking about you, and more often than not, it's in a negative light. So the hardest part is kind of putting on those blinders and you look at, it's funny watching the documentary, The Last Dance. Here you've got the greatest basketball player of all time, and there's a whole episode that talks about how the media had to find a way to blow him up, and so that's probably the toughest part from a professional athlete standpoint is there's always going to be more haters. They're going to at least be more vocal than the ones that are supporters, and you have to be able to kind of put on your blinders and not allow that stuff to get into your head.